So, what is the one stock I would go all in on if I had to? This is a fun question that we discuss periodically in the group, but the answer isn't what you think it is. There's actually a lot more to this question than meets the eye. So let's get into all the details around that and get to you exactly what stock I would choose and kind of give you an experienced investor, a guy with 25 years worth of investing experience. Let me kind of give you my thought process around what I would go all in on if I had to. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype. Now, to be upfront, this is a question that gets thrown around periodically for fun in our group. I mean, obviously it makes, for a lot of good discussion here. A lot of folks will kind of post, what they would choose and the reasons why, which, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there. We have one of the biggest discounts ever for my group where you can see that discussion, get to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, get our complete watch list with price targets, get, 5 courses for free coaching. So much involved there, guys. Just check out the pinned comment down there. We'll talk about the rest of that here at the end. But when this discussion comes up, it's honestly one that I don't really like to talk about a lot. One, because it's, an impossibility. You're never going to just choose one stock and that's the only choice that you have. And two, even if I kind of put myself in that scenario, the answer is much more complex. It's not as easy as you think it is. There's not one stock to rule them all, because as an experienced investor, I understand that when you get into this question, it is a lot more complex than what you think it is. And so let's kind of discuss that, because I know that's not how it's pitched here on YouTube. It's pitched as this stock is the one stock and you don't need to own any other stock, and a lot of other ridiculous narratives like that. So let me kind of break this down for you with some very specific examples to show you why the question is a bad question to begin with. And it's actually very, very complex when you actually think about it. And I'll give you guys some things to think about here. And then, of course, I'll also give you my answer as well to the question of what that stock would be. But again, remember, this is just my opinion. And for me, this is kind of a bad question, but it can be fun for a lot of folks to kind of speculate. And what I want you to do is I want you to hopefully take this information and kind of apply it to your situation, how you feel. And more importantly, I hope it kind of opens up an avenue for you to actually think of questions like this and problems like this as they come up in your investing from a more seasoned investor's perspective, and understand the different complexities in investing themselves, so you can actually arrive to the right answer and not get stuck or caught owning something or in a situation that you don't want to be in. So when I think about this question, I think about what context are we discussing here and what are the parameters of the discussion? Because just saying, hey, if you got to go in on all one stock, what stock are you going in right now today? That's usually how the question is posed. And my question is, well, if I'm going all in on one stock, is it at my current portfolio size? Is it at your current portfolio size? Meaning if you got a $10,000 portfolio, that's what you're going all in on. But a guy over here that has a $10 million portfolio, well, he's got to go all in on one stock over here too. Well, I can tell you right now, my choice, given those two different scenarios, is going to be actually different. And I'm sure a lot of you guys' choices would be completely different as well, kind of given the different parameters. And that's why this question for me is so hard to answer. So I'll give you a couple scenarios here and kind of tell you the exact stock that I would pick in those scenarios, exactly why I would pick that stock, more importantly, so that way you guys can kind of understand my thinking and how I would answer this question. And maybe, your situation isn't one, maybe your situation is another one. So that way you got a few different situations you can kind of apply it to, and then kind of think through your logic from there. Now, again, these are all just my opinions. I would love to hear what your picks are down below. Make sure you comment down below. Give me your pick, but don't just tell me the stock. Tell me why. Give me just a couple of quick bullet points there as to why that's your particular pick. So the first scenario is you're investing with your current portfolio size. Now, I understand everybody watching this has a different portfolio. Some of you guys just have $1,000 or $10,000 portfolio. I know I have group members that are looking at a, $60 million portfolio. Those are two completely different numbers that are vastly different, but you can't make these decisions based upon somebody else's situation. You've got to make it based upon yours. So for me, if I combine all of my portfolios together, the number is quite large. So my pick in regards to that, because of the size of my portfolios and my situation now, my age, where I'm at in life, what I want for my future, all goal setting, all those other things that we talk about in our courses and everywhere else, those are all very, very different than most folks would be. And I understand that. So that's why I'm choosing the stock that I choose here, is because my situation is so different. And what I need from my stocks, more importantly, in my situation is completely different. Now, if I was 21 years old and I only had $10,000, my answer obviously would be different. We'll get to some scenarios like that. But in my particular scenario right now with this, my stock pick would be Apple. And here's the reason why. I don't need crazy appreciation. What I want most importantly at my portfolio sizes, if I combined them all, would be number one, safety. I still want some growth, obviously. And to say Apple is a dead stock, I've been hearing that for, I don't know, probably a good 10 years now. And look at the share appreciation over the past 10 years. It's been pretty darn good. Just look at Apple's return this year, where everybody was saying Apple's done, it's over with, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just ridiculous at that stage. So I know I'm going to get share appreciation. The second thing that I know that I'm getting is safety. Big money, big institutional money. When the crap hits the fan, which has happened a few times, the money ran to Apple because they produce so much cash flow. They buy back so many shares. And I know some folks don't like it. They want to knock it. As a shareholder who's looking for more safety and some good appreciation, beating the market type appreciation, or at least keeping up with the market, I like my chances with Apple doing that. And oh, by the way, there's a nice little dividend spinoff too that I can use to either buy more shares, or I can use that for income given the size of the portfolio. So for me, it kind of gives me the best of all the different worlds, and I don't need to be super speculative. I don't need to grow this anymore. So if Apple goes nowhere for the next 5 years, I'm okay at that stage. It still gives me exactly what I would need. And for me, it is the safest bet, maybe the least risky bet to make to get where I want to go in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case. Well, whatever time frame we're holding these stocks to, right? That's another piece of the pie. If we're putting a 3-year timeline on it, the answer may be different than if we're putting a 15-year timeline on it. So again, you kind of see how complex all these questions get, but that right there would be my pick in that particular scenario, would be Apple stock. So let's kind of go to the other side of the target here that I know a lot of folks are in. Let's kind of look at that next, and then I'll let you know what I would choose in that particular scenario, because of course it is different. So scenario number 2, starting at 0, and you have $10,000 to $100,000 to go all in on. So basically, you're looking at your portfolio. You got no stocks. You own no stocks, and then you have 10,000 to 100,000 there. Again, I don't know what portfolio sizes you guys have out there. So just kind of, my answer didn't change whether you gave me $10,000 to invest or $100,000 to invest. It doesn't matter. But in that particular scenario right there, when I'm looking at that, and you put it down there, 500,000, whatever number you want to put there. Again, I don't know your portfolio size there. What stock would I choose to invest in and why? And I'm going to be honest here, guys. My answer is probably going to make a lot of you guys upset, and that's okay. It's just how I feel. I'll give you the reasons why I think that in regards to the stock itself. And again, this is just from my perspective and how I would want to grow that money long term, obviously, to get myself to a huge portfolio in the future. That's kind of what my thought process here, and that's kind of what I'm looking at and kind of what I'm targeting in this particular scenario. So that stock would be Palantir. And I'm sorry, I know Tesla was definitely one stock that I considered, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one over Palantir. And let me kind of give you guys the reasons why I chose Palantir over Tesla in this particular scenario. So kind of let me give you the Palantir side first, and then we'll talk about the Tesla side next, because like I said, it's definitely one that I considered there, but it wasn't one that I actually went with. Now, I did not go down the speculative route. Of course, some of those stocks, if you put the money in there, may actually return the best because they're speculative, right? I mean, those are the type stocks that could, 20x on you, if the right, contract hits or something else like that. But I'm not wanting to speculate here if I only get one shot at it. There's no reason to speculate. Even if I don't go to the moon per se, I still want to have a nice chunk of change to build from to maybe invest in something else later on in this particular scenario. So I didn't want to speculate because it's real money. And if I have no other money, I'm not going to just speculate and gamble. That's gambling. You want to play those gambling games, go for it. We all saw how that went in 2021. Didn't work out well for 99.9% of the people. Not going to go that route there. But I chose Palantir because I feel like it is in the future space, the space that is going to impact the future. That's number one. Number two, they're kind of more software based as opposed to Tesla that is more hardware based, especially for now and especially for all the big catalysts that are potentially coming in the future. They're all hardware based. They're not necessarily software based. So over here, that to me is easier to scale, obviously. And it's a much, much stickier product in regards to folks sticking with it. It's very, very hard to get out of. They have government. Now they're moving a lot of commercial product as well. And remember, it's also sticky. And to me, it's just a silent, quiet growth beast where I don't think they're taking the eye off the ball anytime soon. And it just feels to me like they have something that nobody else has. They have something that's not going to get caught up in a bunch of regulation and a bunch of other, BS. They have a really, really eccentric CEO, but he's not eccentric enough to where it's going to create a lot of drama and a lot of headlines and a lot of other angst around the stock. I feel like it's still really early in its growth curve, and I feel like what they're going after, they have basically a 20-year head start on all the competition that's out there. And that to me, those are kind of moats and kind of other things that I don't think it's going to be the maybe give me the most growth, but it's going to give me the most stable growth over time. And in terms of it turning into a $1 trillion company one day, absolutely believe that it can. And more importantly, it's going to happen kind of quietly. It's not going to be just this rocket ship up in 2 years or anything else like that. It's going to be a slow, steady growth beast based upon earnings. More importantly, not based upon hype, not saying it doesn't get caught up in hype cycles or anything else like that. I'm not saying that at all. But in general, when I'm watching earnings, I don't think we're going to see an up and down situation with earnings. I don't believe we're going to see an up and down situation as the macro changes. It didn't really seem to change Palantir's numbers all that much. It just did not seem to impact it this past cycle. Now, kind of contrast that over here with Tesla, where everybody said it didn't matter. There was, yes, the car market is cyclical, but that doesn't matter to Tesla. Well, it turns out that absolutely did matter to Tesla. They absolutely are rate sensitive. They absolutely are sensitive to the cyclical nature of the car market. I don't think anybody can debate that Elon is definitely a more eccentric character than even Alex is over there at Palantir. For better or worse, I'm not saying it's good or bad, just saying there's definitely a lot less stability there. There's definitely, those folks that thought he was going to leave Tesla. That's always a possibility in the future. He definitely likes to poke the bear, which, as we know as Tesla shareholders, isn't always the best. And he's going after a lot of problems that to me are a lot of things, future things that are super capital intensive and really, really hard to solve. Not saying he can't solve them. I'm not saying they won't get solved, but they're really, really difficult. And they're going to take a lot of capital in order to do that. And that for me is a much harder road to hoe per se, especially if we're talking about, moving themselves back up to where, my position could go to, 5X or 10X there in the future. It's going to be really, really hard to do in that sort of capital intensive environment. Oh, by the way, we're not talking about all the regulation and everything else that seems to be involved in what Tesla's going after for right now, as opposed to over here with what Palantir's going after is not going to encounter a lot of regulatory hurdles. Obviously, the pros with Tesla are if they can solve a lot of these hard problems, there's a lot of money to be made there. I would agree completely. But given the way I like to take on risk now and a lot of other things like that, I don't necessarily want to be in a scenario to where I could have the stock run on me for, 3 years, an incredible run, and then have it stagnate and trade down for another 3 years after that because it had such a huge, run up and run down. Those type hype cycles for me are not necessarily conducive to a stock that I would want to be all in on at that stage. Of course, it feels great whenever it goes high, but at that stage, it turns me into a trader and I have no interest in being a trader. I would much rather have nice, slow, steady, and obviously it doesn't look like that. It kind of goes like that as it goes up, as opposed to these incredible highs, then really, really down lows, and then kind of everything else kind of in between as you move up again. Like I said, the trajectory would probably be similar, but in regards to the choppiness in between, Tesla definitely is going to be the choppier of the two, in my opinion. Now, again, these are all just my opinions. I would love to hear what your picks are down below. Make sure you comment down below. Give me your pick, but don't just tell me the stock. Tell me why. Give me just a couple of quick bullet points there as to why that's your particular pick. So I'm happy to get blasted down in the comments. Go for it, guys. Go ahead and blast me down in the comments there. But those are kind of my quick thoughts on this question and what I would do in those two particular scenarios. And remember, if you want to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, be a part of the discussions just like this. Get those 5 free courses, get your free coaching, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there, and so much more. Use our stock analyzer tool for free. Jump on our live Q&As, be able to talk to me anytime you want. Be a part of our $250 portfolio challenge. Jump in on all the discussion there in regards to that. See our experts as well. Make sure you take advantage of the sale that's going on right now that expires very soon. This is one of the biggest discounts ever for my group. So make sure you check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.